The challenge was to make a city like in the nearby future on the moon, and we had to take into consideration all like the challenges that you would face if you had a city on the moon.
And there was a ton, like the temperature and things like that, and especially the water too made it hard because the water is frozen. We had to come up with a way to get that.
There was a substantial amount of research that you had to go into it because you had to take a look at your environment, obviously. You had to look at the impact of that environment on, first of all, on just the capacity of individuals to live here, and then also consider other factors such as we mentioned, stress on materials and like. I love this project.
Back here, it's kind of hard to see, but we have our water, and this is our moving part. Just like turn it on. So the water is frozen on the moon, so it will heat up the water and it will melt it. And then we have our transportation. Our rocket cars bring it to the factory where it's processed and sent out to the whole city.
Those are our solar panels. This is the commercial space. We call it Central Eclipse. That's where all our like commercial and shops are. And then each of here, these are greenhouses connected by tubes, so you can have easy access that are also connected to. These are like the houses, and they're underground to protect from like the drastic temperature changes.
These are kind of as caves on the moon, because the caves on the moon are like, they go deeper kind of. So, and the temperature under the moon, or in the caves is a lot better because there's less drastic temperature changes like there is on top of the moon, and that would just be bad for our citizens.
Because like for the moon, in like one like 24-hour span, it can go from like positive 200 degrees to negative 200 degrees.
Right.
And that's really hard to like try to figure out like a way to have like a lot of things on top of the moon but still be like, oh, this is good for like really, really cold temperatures and really, really hot temperatures. So what we did is like we like looked it up and like how we can solve that problem. And what we did, like Ella said, like in the caves underground, it stays at like about 64 degrees based and like compared to like positive 200 degrees, negative 200 degrees, which would be really hard to stay alive.
That's incredible. I mean, when you talk about temperature swings like that, that's an enormous stressor on materials too, above the ground. But that's really an interesting fact. So do we know for sure that if we went below the surface of the moon that there would be a constant temperature of 64 degrees?
As far as like NASA knows, yeah.
Really? Okay, that's phenomenal. Yeah, that I mean, what a great solution to that problem.
Yeah.
You've got a very pleasant temperature of 64 degrees, which is very livable, and that's how you navigate a 400-degree swing in temperature during the course of a day. You may be consciously following a process, or this may be something that you developed as you come to the solution of this particular problem here. You want to talk to me a little bit about that problem-solving process that you went through to come up with the solution?
So basically, we did because what we did, we kind of just went like problem and by problem. We had like a rubric, so like what we needed. So like we had to have commercial, residential, and industrial.
Okay.
And we had to like figure out how we can include all of those things, but still with like the problems that we face on the moon. So like we used like our Chromebooks for most of it to like figure out, because it was like at our hands instead of like going to a library, which might take some time. So that was like how we did it, and then we like planned it out, and then we did like the other things like I mentioned, like the essay, the presentation video, the live Q&A. Overall, I really like lunNEA. I think everyone should give it a shot because it's organized, it's affordable, the jobs are very nice, and the people are very nice too. Next up to interview, we have Karen. Karen is most known for being in charge of our lunNEA's infrastructure and lunNEA's moon resources. She collects the moon resources and then gathers them up to different places to be what we need. Let's talk about that.
Hi, thank you for asking. So the first thing that we do is we collect the hydrogen using our gas jars, and that makes it so we can power our cars. So the next thing that we do is we build the solar panels and we connect them to all the houses so the town has energy. And then the last part, probably one of the most important part, is the water. So we have a giant fan that we use to heat up the water because, as you might know, it's frozen. And then we have water collectors, and then we have our rocket cars bring it to our factories.
Another thing that I noticed is this big bubble in the middle. What is that, and what are the colorful things inside it?
Of course, This building here is called Central Eclipse and was made by one of our creators, Abigail Scrivens. It holds all of our shops, including our grocery store, toy store, spacesuit boutique, and our hospital. And the largest one in the middle is our rec center, where most of our activities are held.
We watched like a presentation video of someone else, and the guy's background was like a bunch of tools and like hardware. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
my closet was my background.
And spray painting out in the garage.
A lot of spray paint at one house, drop off on the porch of the other house. This person who's
But you worked around it, That's the incredible part about what you're doing. I mean, that's kind of how what we found out since last March, really, that's the way life goes. So then you have, your normal set of circumstances, and then unusual challenges come forward. So how do you work around it? Mm-hmm. And I think you did a fantastic job of working around it. So not only there's the work and the problem, but there's all the unforeseen, which you really, really did a wonderful job in navigating that.
Thank you.
Great job.